Eastern Conference Finals, a preview of the series, a look at game number one. Tonight in Beantown, it's the Boston Celtics, the NBA's best team for the entirety of the season. The NBA title favorites for the entirety of the season, getting ready for the opening game of the ECF against the Indiana Pacers. And JY, when you look at this series outright price, it just indicates how heavily the odds makers favor the Boston Celtics. Minus 1,100. In fairness to Indiana, it was minus 1,250 yesterday, but minus 1,100 in favor of the Celtics. They are laying 2.5 games in that series spread as well. I ask you then simply, will this series be as easy for the C's as the odds makers expect?
Yes. But I do think, as crazy as it sounds, I think Indiana covers the spread, and this may be the wildest take. I wouldn't be completely stunned if they stole game one. Because of the fact that Boston is kind of, been resting a little bit, Indiana could ride the momentum of the Knicks series. They get up and down, fast pace, and we know this, guys. Boston will lay an egg at some point in the first 3 games. It's kind of their MO. They did it first round. They did it second round. Both of them game 2s at home. Indiana, as a team that shoots over 50% from the floor, the only team in the NBA to do that. I saw them. I still have nightmares of them hitting shots in Madison Square Garden from all angles, shooting 73% in the first half of a game 7. You know what that means, Ben? They're not going to be scared at the moment. They're going to take their shots. Now, the problem with them is they can't defend worth of you-know-what, and they're actually playing a team once Porzingis gets back, when he comes back, and that it's finally healthy. So rubber's going to meet the road with Indiana. But I think they have enough that they can steal a game. I can't do the minus 1,100. If you want to go minus 2.5 games for Boston, go ahead. If you just want to go this one of my favorite bets, Boston up 2 games to 1, even money. I think there's a game that Indiana steals in the first 3. They closed it out in 5, so you can take Celtics 2-1 at even money right now in FanDuel.
When we took a look at this to open the show yesterday, I had the same opinion, JY. I do think it's an easy series win for the Celtics, but there is something to saying to yourself, okay, it's a minus 180 price, let's just say, on the series. You take it, maybe a guy or two gets injured on the Celtics. You can live with that. The one thing you can't live with is a minus 1,100 price where it's like, hold on, there's still 2 NBA teams, and we've seen injuries happen multiple times this season already in the playoffs to key players. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the downfall of the Boston Celtics, but that price point doesn't measure up. I think you're smart here, betting the series a different way to say, if you think it's going to be an easy victory, lay the minus 2.5. Take them to win in 5 games. Take them to have a 2-1 lead, because I agree with you here. I do think the Indiana Pacers are going to be game, but also the approach to the series for us, as you brought up, Coach, not much defense here played in Indiana. And quite frankly, over the first 2 series that we take a look at with the Boston Celtics, no offense for Miami, not a lot of offense for Cleveland. At least now you get offense out of Indiana. How do we approach the tempo of the series? Because even looking at line number 1 here, or game 1, I should say, on the total, it's 221.5. We should be getting points routinely, each team over 100 on a game-to-game basis here.
Obviously, yeah. If you look at the track record of the games that they've played during the regular season, 129, 124, 133, 131. The outlier, 118, 101, 122, 112, and then 155, 104. Here's the thing, folks. When Indiana's going to do what Indiana's going to do. See, if you look at what happened in the Knicks series, the Knicks had to try and slow them down because they were a mass unit by the end of it. So to me, Boston has the guys that can get up and play up-tempo pace. They have the depth when you bring guys like Hauser and Pritchard off the bench that they can keep the game going and flowing offensively. Indiana's going to run because that's the way Rick Carlisle's going to play it, and you can't change your stripes when the playoffs start. So I think points are plenty. It's interesting that it's 221.5 as compared to 206, 207.5 in the West. I think game 1 goes over. I think it's going to be a lot of points.
Yeah, when you look at that total 221 and a hook, it's because of how the Pacers play. We'll get a deeper breakdown into this opening game tonight inside TD Garden, looking at the players that will affect the outcome of this first game of the Eastern Conference Finals in just a little bit. But JY, now we go individual perspective for this series overall. when you look at the odds to win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, named after Larry Bird, the Celtics really are the front of this table. Jayson Tatum, hefty favorite, minus 220. Jaylen Brown, plus 350. If you believe the Celtics are going to win this series, maybe doing so in as little as 5 games, who would be your bet to win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP award?
It's going to be Jayson Tatum, but I can't bet that at minus 220. I don't see the value with it, Ben. And this is a spot where Jayson Tatum should step up and do it. Now, when you look at defensively, who's going to guard him? It's probably going to be Pascal Siakam, but Siakam's going to have to worry about scoring because you figure Naismith, because how he played on Brunson, probably goes on to Jaylen Brown, right? So I think that's where you kind of look at it. So it's Tatum to me, but I can't bet that. To me, when you start looking at the market, where do you want to go? You got to start looking at some of the props. For instance, to me, most threes made, I like Derek White at plus 170. Why? Just look at what Dante DiVincenzo did in the last series. I think he's going to have the shot volume. I think you're going to put Halliburton on him. Halliburton falls asleep defensively at times, and Derek White can get loose. Derek White at plus 170 to lead this series in three-pointers made.
By the way, Coach, if we're looking at this series prices here on those MVP odds, so usually from a Celtics perspective, and rightfully so, Tatum, Brown, right there, 1 and 2. But if the Pacers were to force a Game 7 and possibly win this series, which player, from your perspective, would it be like, you know what, this guy put that team and that town on his shoulders?
I would have to go, ready? I would go Siakam.
Yeah, me too.
Because if defensively, Drew Holiday's taking Halliburton. So I think Drew's going to take him out. To me, it's going to be Siakam, or if you want to really throw like a wild one, I don't even say it would be Miles Turner.
Don't say it. Okay.
Aaron Naismith?
McConnell?
McConnell?
I thought TJ McConnell was getting the shout to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. That's what I thought.
Man.
When JY said if you want to get wild and you see TJ McConnell with that 10th best price at 380 to 1, I thought we were getting really, really wild.